Finding out your father has a secret family at the pediatrician's parking lot is like discovering you've been cast in a Lifetime movie without signing the release forms. There I was, Paige Monroe, 34, standing between my sensible Honda CR-V and reality as I knew it, clutching my daughter's antibiotic prescription like it might somehow protect me from what I was witnessing. My father, Dr. Sterling Monroe, respected cardiologist, pillar of the Lakeside, Connecticut community, and apparently champion of leading double lives, was exiting the maternity wing with all the stealth of someone who'd clearly forgotten his daughter regularly took her child to this exact medical center. I ducked behind a minivan, nearly knocking over a "Congratulations, it's a boy" balloon arrangement, which felt like the universe's particularly twisted sense of humor at work. My 6-year-old daughter Lily had been diagnosed with strep throat. Nothing serious, just annoying enough to warrant antibiotics and ice cream bribery. But this was terminal for our family as I knew it. "Mommy, why are we hiding?" Lily whispered, her little hand clutched in mine, blissfully unaware that we were witnessing the implosion of our family mythology in real time. "We're playing spy," I whispered back, thanking every parenting podcast I'd ever half listened to for preparing me to lie convincingly to my child. But we have to be super quiet. From my crouched position, I had a front row seat to my father tenderly placing a newborn, wrapped in the standard issue blue hospital blanket, into a car seat with the practiced precision that only comes from experience. The woman beside him was neither elderly nor unattractive, two details that somehow made this worse. She was maybe 38, with the kind of effortless beauty that made me instantly resentful, wearing designer athleisure that suggested she had both time and money. I recognized her immediately. Dahlia Wright, former star student of my mother's advanced literature seminar at Lakeside University. My mother, Estelle Monroe, PhD in English literature, had mentored Dahlia during her graduate studies. Mom had even invited her to our Thanksgiving dinner 2 years ago, proudly introducing her as the most promising scholar I've encountered in decades. Apparently, she'd also been encountering my father, just not in academic settings. I snapped photos with trembling hands, my marketing executive brain already calculating the most strategic way to drop this nuclear bomb on my mother. Should I create a PowerPoint presentation? A carefully crafted email with exhibits A through Z? Perhaps a scrapbook titled "The Complete Idiot's Guide to Discovering Your Father's Secret Life"? The math was making me nauseous. My parents had been married for 35 years. My mother had suffered a stroke 2 years ago, right around the time Dad started working late at the hospital. Now here was Dahlia with a newborn, roughly 9 months after Dad's infamous fishing trip with the boys. A weekend excursion that had never before included actual fishing in their 3 decades of marriage. "Grandpa!" Lily suddenly shouted, bolting from behind our cover before I could grab her unicorn backpack. Time stopped. The universe froze. My father's head turned in slow motion, his face performing an Olympic-worthy routine from joy to shock to panic in under 2 seconds. "Lily Bear!" He recovered quickly, bending down to hug my daughter while shooting me a look that could only be translated as, "Please don't murder me in a public parking lot." I emerged from behind the minivan with all the dignity I could muster, which wasn't much considering I was wearing yesterday's mascara and holding a prescription for amoxicillin. "Dad," I said, my voice eerily calm. What a coincidence. Dahlia stood frozen beside the car, her hand protectively hovering near the baby. She looked terrified, which gave me a small surge of satisfaction. "Paige," my father started, his authoritative cardiologist voice failing him. "This is Dahlia Wright," I finished for him. "Mom's former student, though I'm guessing she's learning different subjects these days." My father blanched. Dahlia looked like she might faint. "Who's the baby?" Lily asked innocently, peering into the car seat. The silence that followed was so thick you could have performed surgery on it. That's James," my father finally said, defeat evident in his voice. "James Monroe," I stated rather than asked. "As in, sharing your last name? How very presidential of you, Dad." Lily, bless her oblivious heart, was already making silly faces at baby James. completely unaware she was meeting her uncle who was approximately 28 years younger than her. "Paige, please, let me explain," my father pleaded, walking a few steps away from Dahlia and the baby. "This isn't how I wanted you to find out." "Oh, really? You had a PowerPoint prepared? Perhaps a family announcement at Christmas? Pass the turkey and meet my secret son?" "It's complicated," he whispered urgently. "Complicated as trying to find parking at Whole Foods on a Sunday," I hissed back. "This is catastrophic. Does Mom know?" The look on his face answered that question. "How could you?" I demanded, keeping my voice low so Lily wouldn't hear. "After everything Mom has been through with the stroke? While she was recovering?" "It wasn't planned," he said, running his hand through his silver hair. The same gesture he'd make when explaining why he couldn't make it to my college graduation because of an emergency surgery. I was starting to wonder how many of those emergencies had involved Dahlia. I'm sure the baby just materialized spontaneously. Immaculate conception? Is that what they're teaching at medical school these days? "Mommy, can I hold the baby?" Lily called over, already bonding with her surprise relative. "Not today, sweetie," I replied, my customer service voice firmly in place. I turned back to my father, decades of respect and admiration crumbling like the cookies Mom still baked for him every Sunday. "You have exactly 24 hours to tell Mom, or I will. And trust me, my version won't include any extenuating circumstances. Paige, please. 24 hours, Dad." And I'd start with an apology for missing her department's holiday party next week, because you won't be welcome. I collected Lily, who protested leaving her new friend, and buckled her into my car with shaking hands. As I drove away, I watched in my rearview mirror as my father stood in the parking lot, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. "Who was that lady with Grandpa?" Lily asked, already focused on the ice cream I'd promised her. "Someone who's about to learn that hell hath no fury like the Monroe women scorned," I replied, already drafting a group text to my sisters, Marin and Tessa. By the time we reached the Walgreens drive-thru to fill Lily's prescription, I had 17 missed calls from my father and a growing sense that Christmas was going to be anything but merry this year. There's nothing quite like driving home from discovering your father's secret family and having to explain to your 6-year-old why ice cream isn't an acceptable dinner substitute, even during family apocalypses. The 24 hours following my parking lot revelation unfolded like some twisted Hallmark movie, where someone replaced the scriptwriter with a vengeful divorce attorney. By the time I'd tucked Lily into bed that night, after 3 stories and her customary inspection for closet monsters, I'd received no fewer than 27 texts and 14 voicemails from my father. The digital desperation was almost impressive. "Paige, please, I can explain everything," read the first text, followed by increasingly frantic messages including gems like, "This isn't what it looks like," the mating call of the caught-in-the-act American male, and "Please don't tell your mother," as if I'd scheduled a PowerPoint presentation for breakfast. I silenced my phone and opened a bottle of Pinot Noir that had been earmarked for special occasions. Finding out your father has been playing Family Man. The sequel certainly qualified. By morning, I'd formulated a battle plan. Step 1, Emergency Sister Summit. I called Marin, 38, the middle sister and corporate attorney whose office wall proudly displayed her most likely to make opposing counsel cry award from her law firm. "He did what?" Marin's voice hit a pitch that probably shattered nearby glassware. I held the phone away from my ear while pouring Lily's Cheerios. "You heard me. Dad, Dahlia, baby, maternity ward, the works. That spineless, pathetic..." Marin launched into a creative string of legal jargon that, while technically clean enough for a courtroom, conveyed sentiments that would make a sailor blush. "Lily's in earshot," I warned, watching my daughter meticulously arrange her Cheerios in alphabetical order, a quirk she'd definitely inherited from my side of the family. "Sorry," Marin lowered her voice. "Have you told Tessa?" Tessa, 32, our youngest sister and elementary school counselor, was ironically the least equipped to counsel anyone through this particular family crisis. "Not yet. I figured we'd divide and conquer. You call Tessa, I'll deal with Mom." "Deal with Mom? Paige, this isn't a broken dishwasher. This is Dad having a..." She dropped to a whisper. "A secret baby." "I'm aware, thanks. I had front row seats to the reveal." The silence that followed was heavy with 30-plus years of shared history. Dad teaching us to ride bikes, checking under our beds for monsters, walking each of us down the aisle at our weddings. The same man who now couldn't even walk the line of basic marital fidelity. He has until 3 p.m., I said firmly. Then I'm telling Mom. That's generous, Marin replied. I'd have given him the time it takes to say paternity test. After hanging up, I dropped Lily at school, then drove to my marketing firm's office building in downtown Lakeside, Connecticut, where I proceeded to stare blankly at spreadsheets while composing and deleting 17 different versions of a text to my mother. Each attempt veered wildly between clinical detachment, Mom, I need to inform you of a significant development, and dramatic accusation. Your husband of 35 years is a lying cheater with a secret love child. At 2:55 p.m., my phone rang. Mom's smiling face lighting up my screen. Hi, sweetie. Estelle Monroe's voice sounded normal, if slightly distracted. Just checking if you're bringing that spinach dip to the department holiday party on Saturday? The one with the water chestnuts that Dean Harlow loved last year? Water chestnuts. She was worried about water chestnuts while her marriage was imploding in slow motion 5 miles away. Mom, I began carefully, have you talked to Dad today? Not since breakfast. He had an early surgery, then some meeting at the hospital about the new cardiac wing. Why? Is everything okay with Lily? The cardiac wing. Right. Unless cardiac wing was code for my secret second family. Lily's fine. Just call me after you talk to Dad, okay? You're being mysterious, Paige. You know I don't like mysteries unless they're written by Agatha Christie. At 3:32 p.m., while I was in a meeting about Q1 marketing strategies that suddenly seemed absurdly trivial, my phone exploded with notifications. First from Marin. DEFCON 1. Mom called me hysterical. Dad told her. Then from Tessa. OMG, Dad? Mom just called me crying. WTF, Paige. Why didn't you tell me first? And finally, the text that made my stomach drop. Your father won't be at Christmas. Or in this house. Ever again. Come for dinner tonight. Bring Lily. I need to see my granddaughter. And bring wine. All of it. Mom. I left work claiming a family emergency, which for once wasn't even a lie. The scene at my childhood home that evening was surreal. Mom, the pillar of composure who'd once calmly removed a bat from the living room while continuing to grade papers, sat at the kitchen island wearing her bathrobe at 6 p.m., surrounded by photo albums. I'm removing him, she announced as I entered, scissors in hand, methodically cutting my father's face out of their wedding portrait. 35 years, and I never once suspected. Not even when he started bringing home those ridiculous fishing trophies. Sterling Monroe has never caught a fish in his life. He gets seasick on the Staten Island ferry. Lily ran to her grandmother, oblivious to the marital massacre underway at the kitchen counter. Grandma, why are you cutting pictures? She asked, peering at the growing pile of severed sterling heads. I'm making a collage, sweetheart, Mom replied without missing a beat. A special project called Lying Liars Who Lie. Marin arrived with 3 bottles of wine and a folder labeled Divorce Scorched Earth Edition in her precise handwriting. Tessa followed shortly after with 4 pints of ice cream and her therapy dog, a situation which immediately diverted Lily's attention. What's happening? Tessa whispered, her counselor training utterly failing her in the face of actual family trauma. What's happening? Mom announced, pouring wine into a coffee mug that read, World's Best Wife. The irony was not lost on anyone. Is that your father has been living a double life while I've been building our retirement portfolio and making his favorite lasagna every Thursday for 3 decades. Did you know? She continued with unsettling calm. That Dahlia Wright has published more papers than me this year? She's been juggling academia and an affair with my husband, and a pregnancy. Meanwhile, I felt guilty for ordering takeout when I was too tired to cook. She raised her mug in a toast. Here's to the overachieving other woman. May she enjoy explaining to little James why his father only visits on alternating weekends. As Lily played with the therapy dog in the living room, safely out of earshot, we sisters exchanged glances that communicated decades of shared understanding. Dad had messed up in spectacular fashion, but Mom, brilliant, formidable Estelle Monroe, was going to survive this. and we were going to make absolutely certain that Sterling Monroe regretted the day he ever thought he could get away with betraying her. "So," Mom said, closing the mutilated wedding album with a decisive thud, "who's going to help me change the locks? They say revenge is a dish best served cold. In my family, we prefer it served with a side of irrefutable evidence and a garnish of public humiliation." The weekend after the Great Monroe family implosion, TM, brought a shift in strategy. While Mom was busy consulting with her attorney, coincidentally, a former student who specialized in divorcing cheating spouses, I did what any self-respecting marketing executive would do: research. My target? Dahlia Wright's social media footprint, which was surprisingly extensive for someone maintaining a secret relationship with a married cardiologist. Either she wasn't worried about being discovered, or my father had convinced her that his marriage was basically over. The battle cry of unfaithful husbands since the dawn of Facebook relationship statuses. "Are you hate-stalking Dad's girlfriend again?" Marin asked, letting herself into my house Sunday afternoon with her laptop and a bottle of wine, despite it being barely past noon. She found me cross-legged on my couch, surrounded by printed screenshots and a timeline I'd meticulously constructed on my living room wall like a detective in a crime procedural. "It's not hate-stalking," I corrected, accepting the wine glass she handed me. "It's opposition research." Lily was at a play date, giving us adults a few precious hours to strategize without explaining why Grandpa wasn't answering her FaceTime calls anymore. "Well, your opposition research is about to get a massive upgrade," Marin said, opening her laptop. "You know how Dad always used the same password for everything despite my warnings about basic cybersecurity?" I nodded. Sterling Monroe, brilliant cardiologist who could recite complex medical terminology in his sleep, used Cardiac King 62 for everything from his Netflix account to his medical practice portal. "I may have logged into his cloud storage," Marin continued, her expression suspended between professional guilt and sisterly vindication. "You did what?" I gasped, equal parts shocked and impressed. "Isn't that highly unethical for an attorney?" "Probably," she shrugged. "But I'm not acting as an attorney right now. I'm acting as a daughter whose father betrayed her mother while she was recovering from a stroke. Ethics took the day off." What Marin had discovered was the digital equivalent of finding Jimmy Hoffa. Emails, calendar entries, photos, financial records. For a man having an affair, my father had been remarkably thorough in documenting his deception. Perhaps the most damning was a shared digital calendar between him and Dahlia, color-coded for their meetups, with helpful notes like, "Tell Estelle Hospital fundraiser," or "Estelle at academic conference," "Weekend at Lake House." He bought a lake house? I nearly spilled my wine. "In whose name?" Marin's smile was downright predatory. "That's where it gets interesting. He purchased it through an LLC registered solely in his name. Mom's name isn't on it. And he's been moving money, not huge amounts but consistent transfers, into a separate account for the past 2 years. Since Mom's stroke," I said flatly. "Since Mom's stroke," Marin confirmed. My phone buzzed with a text from Tessa. "Dad just called me crying. Says we're not being fair. Should I feel bad? Because I kind of do." Tessa, the family empath, was struggling with maintaining righteous anger in the face of paternal tears. I showed the message to Marin, who rolled her eyes with the precision of someone who cross-examined people for a living. "Tell her to remember how Mom looked cutting his face out of photos while wearing her bathrobe at dinner time," Marin suggested, scrolling through more financial records. That should firm up her resolve. The real bombshell dropped when Mom called later that afternoon. "I just had the most fascinating conversation with Janet Blackwood," she said without preamble. Janet was the department secretary who had worked at the university for over 30 years and knew everyone's business before they did. "Apparently," Mom continued, her voice eerily calm, "Dahlia is being considered for my position next fall. The position I was planning to retire from in 3 years. The position your father specifically suggested she apply for, while assuring me I shouldn't worry about retirement planning because he had it covered." The implications were staggering. My father hadn't just been having an affair. He'd been orchestrating a complete life replacement. New woman, new baby, same career department, all while siphoning money away from his legitimate family. Mom, are you okay? I asked, genuinely concerned about her blood pressure. Oh, I'm magnificent, she replied with a chilling cheerfulness. In fact, I've never seen things more clearly. Your father didn't just betray me with his body, he betrayed me with his entire future. He was planning to pension me off to some retirement community while setting up Dahlia in my job and my life. What are you going to do? I asked, already dreading the answer. Well, first I'm going to call the university president, who happens to be my racquetball partner. Then I'm going to contact the board of the hospital where your father has privileges. And then, she paused dramatically, I'm going to need you girls to help me plan something special. That something special turned out to be an appearance at the hospital's annual Christmas charity gala the following weekend, an event my father was chairing and where he would be receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award, an event we all had tickets to, and where the hospital's biggest donors, the university's leadership, and essentially everyone who mattered in our social circle would be gathered in their holiday finest. You're not suggesting, I began. Oh, but I am, Mom interrupted. If Sterling wants to live a double life, then he should be prepared to have both halves collide spectacularly, in public, in formal wear. When I relayed this conversation to Marin, she was silent for a long moment before a slow smile spread across her face. Mom has gone full scorched earth, she said with unmistakable pride. Dad won't know what hit him. The next week was a flurry of preparation. Mom, seemingly resurrected from her bathrobe depression, transformed into a tactical commander. Marin compiled financial evidence into what she called exhibits of betrayal. I created a private social media group for coordinating our movements. Even Tessa, after a pep talk from her therapist about healthy anger, volunteered to handle emotional logistics, primarily making sure Lily and any other children would be safely occupied elsewhere during what we were now referring to as Operation Cardiac Arrest. Meanwhile, my father's texts grew increasingly desperate as he realized none of us would be persuaded to advocate for him. Your mother is making rash decisions, he wrote. We need to talk like adults before permanent damage is done to this family. Interesting perspective from the man who created a second family while his wife was recovering from a stroke, I replied before blocking his number. By Friday night, our plans were set, our dresses were pressed, and the Monroe women were armed with enough evidence to sink a battleship, or in this case, one philandering cardiologist who was about to discover that hell hath no fury like a family of educated women with access to digital records and a thirst for justice. Tomorrow night, Mom said during our final strategy call, Sterling Monroe learns that some hearts can't be repaired, even by the best cardiologist in Connecticut. Some women dream of their wedding day. I never expected to dream about my father's professional execution at a Christmas gala. Yet here we were, approaching the hospital ballroom like four horsewomen of the apocalypse in cocktail attire. The Lakeside Memorial Hospital Annual Christmas Charity Gala transformed the normally sterile hospital atrium into a winter wonderland of crystal decorations, white poinsettias, and enough champagne to anesthetize the entire cardiology department. Mom had chosen a stunning crimson gown, the color of the blood Sterling will metaphorically spill tonight, as she put it, while Marin, Tessa, and I coordinated in black, like the world's most fashionable funeral procession. We arrived fashionably late, ensuring Sterling would already be working the room, greeting donors and accepting premature congratulations for his Lifetime Achievement Award. The plan was simple yet devastating. Make our presence known, wait for the perfect moment during his acceptance speech, and then unleash 35 years of receipts in spectacular fashion. There he is, Tessa whispered, nodding toward the far corner where our father stood resplendent in a tuxedo, laughing with the hospital board chairman. He looks happy. Not for long, Marin muttered, patting her clutch, which contained what she called the nuclear codes, a USB drive with meticulously organized evidence of his double life. The moment Sterling spotted us, his champagne glass froze halfway to his lips. The color drained from his face so quickly I worried he might become a patient in his own hospital. We smiled and waved with the synchronized precision of pageant contestants. "Ladies, you came!" He recovered quickly, hurrying over with practiced charm. "I wasn't sure if—" If we'd miss your big night? Mom interrupted, her smile dazzling and terrifying. Wouldn't dream of it, Sterling. 35 years of supporting your career. Why stop now? The hospital board chairman, oblivious to the undercurrents, beamed at us. The Monroe women, all together. Sterling, you're a lucky man. Indeed, my father replied tightly, his eyes darting nervously between us. If you'll excuse us for a moment. He attempted to guide Mom away, but she stood firm, her smile never wavering. Actually, I should mingle. So many faculty colleagues here tonight. Sterling, you remember Janet from the department, don't you? I invited her specially. Mom floated away toward the university contingent, leaving my father looking like he'd swallowed his stethoscope. Marin and Tessa dispersed strategically through the crowd, leaving me alone with Dad. Paige, he began, desperation edging his voice. Please tell me you're not planning anything disruptive tonight. This award is the culmination of my career. Interesting choice of words, I replied, sipping champagne. Culmination, ending, finale. All very appropriate, wouldn't you say? This vendetta is completely disproportionate, he hissed, maintaining his smile as a donor couple waved from across the room. People make mistakes. A mistake is ordering chicken when you meant to order fish, I countered pleasantly. Setting up a second family while your wife recovers from a stroke is a deliberate series of choices, made daily for years. But please continue explaining how we're overreacting. Before he could respond, the hospital's PR director clinked a glass for attention. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The program will begin momentarily. I patted my father's arm. Break a leg up there, Dad. Actually, break both. It'll save you the trouble of running away later. We had strategically reserved a table directly in front of the podium, ensuring perfect sightlines for what was about to unfold. Mom sat directly in my father's line of vision, her posture regal, her smile serene. If you didn't know her, you'd never suspect she was calculating the precise angle at which to hurl his career into the abyss. The first half of the program proceeded normally. Acknowledgements, charity auction results, donor recognition. Then came the main event, Dr. Sterling Monroe's Lifetime Achievement Award for Cardiovascular Excellence. And now, announced the Chief of Surgery, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce our honoree. Dr. Sterling Monroe has been a pillar of this institution for 30 years, saving countless lives with his innovative techniques and steady hands. A family man whose dedication to his patients is matched only by his commitment to his loving wife Estelle and their 3 accomplished daughters. I caught Marin's eye across the table. She nodded almost imperceptibly and typed something on her phone. Seconds later, the massive screen behind the stage, intended for Sterling's career highlight slideshow, flickered briefly. My father approached the podium to thunderous applause, clutching his Crystal Heart trophy with apparent humility. Thank you, everyone. This recognition means everything to me. They say behind every successful man is a supportive wife, and I've been blessed with the best. That's when the screen behind him changed from the hospital logo to a meticulously organized timeline titled The Double Life of Dr. Sterling Monroe, complete with photographs, text messages, and financial records. The audience gasped collectively as my father, oblivious to the changing display, continued his speech. Family has always been my foundation, my reason for striving for excellence. Which family? Called out a woman's voice. Not ours, but Janet Blackwood's, who had positioned herself near the back. The one with Estelle, or the one with Dahlia? Sterling whirled around, finally seeing the damning evidence projected 20 feet high behind him. His face contorted in horror as he recognized his own text messages, calendar entries, and most devastating of all, photos of him with Dahlia and baby James leaving the maternity ward. There's been some misunderstanding, he stammered, but the damage was done. The audience had fallen into a stunned silence broken only by whispers and the occasional phone camera click. Mom chose this moment to rise, gliding toward the stage like a crimson-clad avenging angel. Sterling, darling, you forgot to mention your newest achievement, fathering a child with my former student while I recovered from a stroke. Quite the medical miracle, wouldn't you say? Perhaps that deserves a special award. The hospital board chairman, now ghostly pale, hurried to the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, we seem to be experiencing some technical difficulties. If we could just take a short break." "Oh, but we're just getting to the good part," Mom continued, unstoppable. "The part where my husband of 35 years secretly purchased property for his mistress using hospital compensation committee funds." "That is correct, isn't it, Board Chairman Phillips? The special discretionary account for retaining top talent?" "Very discreet, except my daughter is quite skilled at following money trails." Chaos erupted. Board members huddled in emergency consultation, their expressions oscillating between shock and damage control calculation. Sterling's medical colleagues divided instantly, the older surgeons looking appalled at the public spectacle, while younger doctors whispered with barely concealed fascination. Hospital donors in evening wear shifted uncomfortably in their seats, some already reaching for their phones, undoubtedly removing pledged donations in real time. The PR director frantically signaled for the technical team to cut the projection. My father stood frozen at the podium, career and reputation disintegrating in real time. The chief of surgery attempted damage control, guiding Sterling away from the podium while security discreetly approached our table. But they were intercepted by the university president, who put a protective arm around Mom's shoulders. "Estelle is a valued member of our faculty," he announced loudly, "and apparently the victim of some very disturbing behavior. I suggest we all take a breath before anyone does anything rash." As the gala dissolved into factions, those demanding explanations, those pretending nothing had happened, and those openly recording the debacle for posterity, Dad finally located his voice. "This is a private family matter that has no place in a professional setting," he declared, physician authority failing him for perhaps the first time. "My personal life has no bearing on my medical contributions." "Funny," Marin replied, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "That's exactly what the hospital ethics committee said when I called them yesterday. They were quite interested in reviewing your case, particularly the part where you billed couples counseling sessions with Dahlia to the hospital's continuing education fund." By the time we left, Sterling Monroe, once the crown jewel of Lakeside Memorial, had been quietly escorted to his car by security. His Crystal Heart Award left abandoned on the podium like the shattered remnants of his reputation. "Was it everything you hoped for?" Tessa asked Mom as we walked to our cars, snow beginning to fall gently around us. Mom looked up at the night sky, snowflakes catching on her eyelashes. "No," she said thoughtfully, "but it was everything he deserved. They say living well is the best revenge. Turns out, publicly dismantling your cheating father's career while wearing designer heels is a close second." 6 months after the Christmas charity gala that will forever be known in Lakeside medical circles as the Monroe Massacre, life had found a new rhythm, one with significantly less betrayal and surprisingly more joy. Spring had bloomed across Connecticut, bringing with it not just flowers and warmer temperatures, but the kind of renewal that only comes after a particularly satisfying demolition. Like many beautiful gardens, our family had required substantial pruning before new growth could begin. Mom sold the family home within weeks of the gala. "Too many ghosts and not enough closet space," she explained, and purchased a sleek downtown condo walking distance from the university. The Monroe women helped her move on a sunny Saturday, unpacking books and artwork that somehow looked more vibrant in her new space, unburdened by the weight of my father's deception. "Do you miss it?" I asked as we arranged her beloved first edition novels on custom bookshelves. "The house, I mean." "I miss what? The creaking stairs that Sterling refused to fix? The kitchen where I cooked 14,000 meals for a man who was dining elsewhere? The bedroom where I slept alone while he was building a lake house for his child bride?" Mom replied, arching an eyebrow. Strangely, no. Sterling Monroe's fall from grace had been swift and comprehensive. The ethics investigation revealed financial improprieties extending beyond what even we had discovered. His hospital privileges were suspended, his private practice partners bought him out for pennies on the dollar, and his medical license was placed under review. Last we heard, he'd moved into the lake house with Dahlia and baby James, living on rapidly dwindling savings while updating his resume. "He called me yesterday," Tessa mentioned during our monthly sister dinner at Marin's house. "Wanted to know if I could put in a good word with Mom about reducing her alimony demands. Maren nearly spat out her wine. The audacity of that man continues to impress me. What did you say? I told him I'd be happy to relay the message right after he explained to Lily why Grandpa disappeared and had a brand new baby with a woman half his age, Tessa replied, helping herself to more pasta. Her therapy training had finally found its perfect application in setting boundaries with our father. As for Mom, the Estelle Monroe Revenge Tour had evolved into something far more powerful, the Estelle Monroe Renaissance. Rather than retiring as planned, she accepted a distinguished professorship and published a searing academic paper on betrayal narratives in contemporary American marriages that became the English department's most downloaded publication in history. I've been invited to speak at 4 conferences this summer, she announced during Sunday brunch, looking younger than she had in years. Apparently, there's significant academic interest in how women reclaim their narratives after betrayal. Who knew Dad would finally contribute to your academic career? I quipped. Yes, he's finally useful as a cautionary tale, Mom replied, buttering her toast with the precision of a surgeon. Though I've changed his name in my case studies to protect the guilty from further humiliation. Speaking of humiliation, Maren chimed in, scrolling through her phone. Dahlia withdrew her candidacy for Mom's eventual position. Apparently, dating the disgraced former star of the medical school doesn't do much for one's academic credibility. Life lessons had emerged from the wreckage of our family mythology. Chief among them the realization that people rarely show you who they truly are, until circumstances force their hand. My father had maintained his respected doctor, devoted family man persona for decades, only to reveal himself as spectacularly selfish when tested by my mother's illness. But the most important lesson came from watching Mom rebuild. She approached her reinvention with the same methodical brilliance she'd applied to her revenge, carefully assessing what she wanted, strategizing how to get it, and executing her plan with precision. The woman who once built her life around my father's career now traveled to academic conferences alone, started a book club for divorced professionals, and even went on what she euphemistically called dinner appointments with male colleagues. As for me, Lily continued to ask occasionally about Grandpa, but with decreasing frequency as new priorities filled her 6-year-old world. I explained, in age-appropriate terms, that sometimes adults make choices that hurt other people, and that it's okay to be sad about losing someone while also being angry at their actions. Like when Tyler pushed me off the swing but then said he was sorry? She'd asked, reducing complex adult betrayal to playground physics. Something like that, sweetie. Only Grandpa hasn't said he's sorry yet. The baby, James, now exactly 6 months and 2 weeks old, remained an innocent complication. None of us had met him, though Sterling sent photos occasionally in transparent attempts to soften our stance. He was, undeniably, a Monroe, with the same cowlick that all 3 sisters had battled in childhood. Maybe someday, Mom said, when I asked if she'd ever want to meet her husband's child. When the rage subsides to a gentle simmer rather than a rolling boil. That was the thing about family betrayals. They never fully healed, but eventually the edges softened enough to handle without cutting yourself open again. And sometimes, if you were lucky, you emerged from the experience with a better understanding of your own strength, and the knowledge that the family you choose to keep around you is far more important than the one you were given. And in the end, isn't that the most satisfying revenge of all? Apparently, receiving anonymous flowers at work isn't romantic. It's a spoiler alert for your entire marriage. My name is Alma Dawson. I'm 34 years old, marketing manager at a tech company in Austin, Texas, and I just found out that my 8-year marriage is performance art disguised as commitment. The roses arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. Regular boring Tuesday with regular boring client meetings. Our receptionist went full cheerleader mode. Alma! Someone's being romantic! My coworkers swarmed instantly. Classic office behavior. Everyone taking pictures, sniffing the roses, making jokes about lucky girl and relationship goals. I smiled. Played along. That's what you do when you think your marriage is solid, right? Opened the card. He doesn't deserve you, but I see you. Masculine handwriting. Strong. Confident. Definitely not Dean's sloppy scrawl. My hands started shaking. Flipped the card over. A link. Handwritten URL. Short. Specific. Personal. I grabbed the flowers, mumbled something about putting them in water, and practically sprinted to the bathroom. Locked myself in the furthest stall. Sat on the closed toilet lid. Bouquet balanced awkwardly on my lap. Phone clutched in sweating palms. Typed the link. Private album. 16 photos loaded one by one. Each image a tiny bomb exploding in my chest. Photo 1. My husband Dean with a woman. Redhead, early 30s. Gorgeous smile. Restaurant I didn't recognize. He's looking at her the way he used to look at me. Past tense. Used to. Photo 2. Same woman. Different day. Movie theater. His arm around her shoulders. Casual, comfortable, familiar. Photo 3. Grocery store parking lot. Her cart. His hand on the small of her back. Domesticity that felt like a knife. Photos 4 through 8. Different locations. Different outfits. Same woman. Same my husband. Coffee shops, parks, that boutique wine bar downtown he always said was too pretentious. Photo 9 made my vision blur. Them at a restaurant in Dallas. Dean had told me he was in Houston that weekend. Big client presentation, babe. Can't miss it. Apparently, the only thing he couldn't miss was her. Photo 10, San Antonio, Riverwalk. Holding hands like teenagers. He'd said, team building retreat. The only thing he was building was a second life. Photo 11 destroyed me. Supermarket. Regular suburban Tuesday vibes. Shopping together. Her laughing at something he said. Buying things that never showed up at our house. Photos 12 through 15. More dates. More lies. More proof that my marriage was a part-time gig for him. Photo 16. Yesterday's date stamped in the corner. Office setting. His office. Her sitting on his lap. His desk. Business hours. Broad daylight. Like they owned the place. Like I didn't exist. I couldn't breathe. The bathroom stall felt smaller. Roses smelled sickening now. Sweet rotting. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I'm the one who sent the flowers. We need to talk. Cafe Medici, 6 p.m. tonight. I'll explain everything. This isn't random. You deserve to know the truth. Seth Barrett, my ex-boyfriend from college. The guy I dated for 3 years before Dean. The guy who proposed when we were 24 and I said no because I needed to focus on my career. The guy who left Austin, moved to Dallas, became some corporate controller, and I never saw again. Seth worked at the same consulting firm as Dean. Same building, same floor, same meetings. And apparently, same front row seat to my husband's double life. I stared at my reflection in the stall door's metal coat hook. Mascara starting to run. Lipstick chewed off. Looking exactly like someone whose world just collapsed. 6 p.m. Cafe Medici. My ex-boyfriend. My cheating husband's evidence. My entire marriage potentially imploding over espresso. The roses sitting on my lap suddenly felt less like a gift and more like a warning shot. Dean texted, "Late meeting tonight. Don't wait up. Love you. Love you." 2 words that used to mean everything. Now they just sounded like corporate jargon. Empty. Rehearsed. Meaningless. I texted back, "No problem. See you later." Lies. We were both so good at lies. I stood up, flushed the toilet for effect, office politics, even during personal apocalypse, and walked back to my desk. Smiled at coworkers, thanked them for the flower excitement, sat down, opened my laptop, pretended to work while my brain screamed questions. How long has this been going on? Who is this woman? Does she know about me? Does Dean love her? Did he ever actually love me? And the question that burned worst, how did I not see this? 3 hours until 6 p.m. 3 hours until I met my ex-boyfriend and found out exactly how bad this disaster really was. 3 hours to sit in my office chair, surrounded by coworkers who think I'm lucky, staring at roses that smell like betrayal, waiting to learn the truth about a marriage I thought I understood. The roses sat on my desk. Everyone kept commenting. So romantic. You're so lucky. Dean's the best. Dean, my husband, my liar, my stranger. At 5:45 p.m., I grabbed my purse, told my boss I had a personal appointment. He barely looked up. I walked to my car, hands steady now. Shock does that. Makes you cold. Clinical. Efficient. Drove to Cafe Medici. Parked. Sat in my car for 10 minutes, staring at the entrance. Deep breath. Walked inside. Seth was already there. Corner table. Back to the wall. He looked older. Gray threading his temples. Sharp suit. Blue eyes still intense. Still attractive? Wrong thought. Bad timing. He stood when he saw me. Gentleman reflex. Alma. His voice. Deeper than I remembered. Rougher. Seth. We sat. Silence stretched between us like a chasm. I'm sorry, he started. I know this is... Just tell me. My voice sounded dead. Flat. Tell me everything. Seth looked at me like I was fragile china. Spoiler alert. I wasn't fragile. I was furious. I've been working with Dean for 2 years. He started. Fingers wrapped around his coffee cup. We're not friends. Colleagues. You know how corporate works. Surface-level pleasantries, fake laughs at bad jokes during team meetings. I nodded. Waited. My coffee sat untouched. Too nauseous for caffeine. About 6 months ago, I noticed him at a happy hour with this woman. Vanessa Clark, junior analyst, 32. Recently divorced. Seth's jaw tightened. At first I thought maybe coworker thing. Networking. Whatever. But then I saw them again. And again. Always the same energy. Intimate. Secretive. You followed him. Not a question. I documented him. Seth met my eyes. Because you deserve to know the truth, Alma. You always deserved honesty. The subtext hung heavy between us. Unlike Dean. Unlike the man who asked me to marry him while apparently auditioning replacements. Seth pulled out his phone. Showed me more. So much more. Email screenshots. Work correspondence between Dean and Vanessa that started professional and devolved into flirty. Then explicit. Not graphic. Thank God, wrong audience for that. But clear. Can't wait to see you tonight. Last weekend was incredible. She suspects nothing. She, me, I was she in my own marriage. There's more, Seth said quietly. He showed me expense reports. Dean had been charging personal dinners as client meetings. Hotels as conference accommodations. The company was literally funding his affair. Our family budget, tight because Dean always claimed work didn't reimburse enough, was tight because he was spending money on her. Does she know he's married? My voice cracked. First sign of emotion breaking through the ice. Oh, she knows. Seth's tone went sharp, angry. She thinks it's hilarious. I overheard her at the office Christmas party last year. She was drunk, bragging to another analyst. Said something like, playing house with someone else's husband hits different. I felt my face flush. Hot, humiliated. This woman, this Vanessa, knew about me, knew I existed, and chose to participate anyway. Chose to laugh about it. Chose to be the punchline in my marriage. Why now? I asked. Why tell me now? Why the flowers, the drama, because I'm tired of watching him disrespect you. Seth leaned forward. Intense. Alma, I see you at company events sometimes. Regional meetings. You show up to support him. You smile. You network for his career. And he stopped. Breathed. He's throwing you away like you're nothing. You're not nothing. The way he said it. Past and present colliding. The boy who proposed. The man who disappeared. The stranger who just handed me evidence of my husband's betrayal. Where does she live? I asked. Seth hesitated. Alma, where does she live? He told me, gave me the address. Nice complex in Central Austin, the kind with a pool and gym. The kind Dean and I couldn't afford because we were saving for our future. Apparently, our future included his side piece living better than his wife. I stood up. Thank you, Seth, for the truth, for caring enough to... My voice broke. I hated it. Hated crying. Hated feeling weak. Alma. He stood too, reached out, stopped himself. What are you going to do? Something stupid, probably? I tried to smile, failed. Or something genius. Haven't decided yet. I left. Drove home in autopilot. Dean wasn't there. obviously. Late meeting. Right. Late meeting with Vanessa's thighs, more like. God, I was becoming crude in my own head. Heartbreak does that. I poured wine. Expensive bottle we were saving for our anniversary next month. Screw it. Drank straight from the bottle. Sat on our couch, the one we bought together at IKEA, arguing about colors and fabrics, and stared at our wedding photo on the wall. We looked happy. Young. Stupid. My phone buzzed. Dean. Heading home soon. Want me to grab takeout? The audacity. The sheer audacity of this man to ask about dinner after spending his day with another woman. I typed back, sure, surprise me, because I was about to surprise him too. Thursday morning. I called in sick. First time in 3 years. My boss sounded concerned. You never take sick days, Mabel, are you okay? He called me Mabel. Wrong name. Didn't even correct him. What did it matter? I drove to Vanessa's apartment. Watched. Like a suburban stalker. Pathetic? Absolutely. Necessary? Also absolutely. She left at 8:47 a.m. Professional outfit, hair perfect, makeup flawless. She looked happy, content, well-rested. Probably because she wasn't carrying the weight of a dying marriage. I waited. Dean's car pulled up at 9:15 a.m. He parked, looked around, guilty reflex, and walked into her building like he owned it. Confident, casual, familiar. He was supposed to be at the office. Early morning presentation, he'd said at breakfast. I'd made him eggs. He'd kissed my cheek, tasted like lies. I took photos, time-stamped, documented. Maybe I learned from Seth. Maybe I was just tired of being the idiot wife. My phone rang. Seth, where are you? Staking out my husband's girlfriend's apartment. You know, normal Thursday activities. Alma, don't do anything crazy. Define crazy. Silence. Then, want backup? I almost laughed. Almost. Why would you? Because you shouldn't be alone right now. And because... He paused. Because I never stopped caring about you, Alma, even when you said no, even when you chose him. I never stopped. My heart did something weird, painful, complicated. Cafe Medici, 20 minutes. I hung up. We met again. Same table, different energy. I have a plan, I said. Seth raised an eyebrow. Should I be worried? Probably. But you're going to help me anyway. He smiled. Small. Sad. Yeah, I am. I laid it out. Step by step. Seth listened. Added suggestions. Corporate insider knowledge. We weren't just planning confrontation. We were planning demolition. This could get messy, Seth warned. Good. I meant it. He made a mess of our marriage. Time to return the favor. Thursday evening, 7 p.m. Dean texted, another late one. Don't wait up. I texted Vanessa's landlord. Found him on the building website. Claimed to be her sister. Lost my key. Can you let me in? Emergency. Older guy. Bought it completely. Opened her door. I tipped him $20. Thanks so much. Waited inside her apartment. Lights off. Door unlocked. Dean arrived at 7:43 p.m. Used his key, to her apartment. Vanessa showed up at 7:51 p.m. Takeout bags. Thai food. The kind Dean always said he hated. Apparently, he only hated it with me. They walked in together, laughing, her hand on his arm. I turned on the lights. Hi, honey. Your meeting ended early. The looks on their faces. Priceless. Worth every second of humiliation. Worth every lie. Worth every wasted year. Dean went pale. Actually pale. Like vampire seeing sunlight pale. Vanessa froze. Thai food hitting the floor. Pad Thai exploding across her pristine white carpet. Alma, Dean started. Shut up, Dean. I smiled. Cold, calm. Adults are talking. Oh, wait. I looked at Vanessa. Are you an adult? Hard to tell when you're playing dress-up in someone else's marriage. She found her voice. This isn't what it looks like. Really? I pulled out my phone. Started showing photos. Because it looks like my husband has been living a double life. It looks like you knew he was married. It looks like you both thought I was too stupid to notice. Dean tried to step forward. Alma, let me explain. Explain what? My voice rose. 8 years of silence breaking. Explain how you used our grocery money for her rent? Explain how you lied about business trips? Explain how you made me feel crazy for asking why you were always tired, always distant, always gone. It just happened. Dean, master of cliches. Nothing just happens, Dean. You made choices. Every single day. You chose to lie, chose to cheat, chose to make me the idiot wife while you played house with her. Vanessa crossed her arms. Defensive now. You clearly weren't making him happy. I laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, sweetheart. You think you're special? You think you won something? I stepped closer. She stepped back. You got the leftovers, the scraps. The man who's too cowardly to end his marriage but too selfish to stay faithful. Congratulations, you're dating garbage. I pulled off my wedding ring. 8 years. Platinum band. Small diamond. All we could afford back then. Placed it on her coffee table. He's all yours, Vanessa. Good luck managing a man who lies for sport. You're going to need it. Dean tried to grab my arm. Alma, wait! I pulled away. Don't touch me. Don't call me. Don't come home. We're done. Walked out, head high, heart shattered, but dignity intact. Seth was waiting in the parking lot, leaning against his car, arms crossed, protective. How'd it go? I called her garbage. I laughed, cried, both. I'm a mess. You're magnificent. He opened his car door. Come on. Let's get you somewhere safe. Seth drove me to a hotel. Not sketchy. Respectable. Marriott downtown. He checked me in under my maiden name. Alma Rutherford. Like witness protection for the emotionally demolished. You didn't have to do this, I said, standing in the room. King bed. Clean sheets. Neutral colors. Everything my life wasn't. Yes, I did. He set my overnight bag down. I'd grabbed it from the house while Dean was at Vanessa's. You need space to think. And you shouldn't be alone. You gonna stay here and hold my hand? Sarcasm. Defense mechanism. If you need me to. He wasn't joking. We stared at each other. 10 years of history. 3 years of love. 1 rejection. 2 years of working near each other without contact. And now this. I should hate you, I said quietly. You disappeared. You didn't fight for me when I said no. You said no, Alma. I respected that, even though it destroyed me. His voice cracked. Rare vulnerability. I moved to Dallas to get away from memories of you. Threw myself into work. Dated other people. Nothing stuck. Because nobody was you. Seth, I'm not asking for anything. I'm not expecting anything. He moved toward the door. I just needed you to know the truth about Dean. What you do with that information is entirely up to you. I'll be at the Hilton across the street if you need me. For anything. Even just to talk. He left. I sat on the bed. Stared at my phone. 17 missed calls from Dean. 12 texts. Escalating from apologetic to angry to desperate. Alma, please let me explain. You're being irrational. It meant nothing. You're throwing away 8 years over a mistake. Classic cheater playbook. Minimize, gaslight, blame the victim. I didn't respond. Instead, I called someone else. Griffith and Associates, how may I direct your call? I need a divorce attorney. Best one you have. Money's not an object. 40 minutes later, I had a consultation scheduled for Friday morning. Catherine Griffith herself. Shark in heels. Reputation for destroying cheating spouses in court. Then, I called my bank. Joint accounts. Started documenting every transaction. Every suspicious charge. Every business dinner that cost $300. Every hotel. Every flight. Dean had been sloppy. Arrogant. He genuinely thought I was too trusting to check. Wrong. I found deposits I didn't recognize. 500 here, 800 there. Payments from our savings account to Venmo? I traced them. All to Vanessa. He was paying her. My husband was using our money to pay his mistress. My hands shook. Not from sadness anymore. From rage. I called Seth. It's midnight. He answered, voice rough with sleep. He was paying her. Dean was sending Vanessa money from our joint savings. Thousands, Seth, thousands. Silence. Then, I'm coming over. You don't have to. I'm already dressed. 5 minutes later, he knocked. I opened the door. He had coffee, 2 cups. Knew how I took mine. Cream, no sugar. Remembered after 10 years. We sat on the hotel bed, laptops open, going through finances like forensic accountants. Here, Seth pointed. This charge. 4 nights at the Fairmont in Dallas. Same week you posted on Facebook about being sick with the flu. He said he had a conference. I remember that week. I had pneumonia, could barely breathe. He FaceTimed me once. Said the conference was boring. I laughed bitterly. He was with her, while I was home alone, sick, thinking my husband actually cared. Seth's jaw clenched. He's worse than I thought. We found more. Jewelry purchases, designer bags, lingerie from boutiques I'd never been to, all charged to our credit cards, all for her. This is financial infidelity, Seth said. In Texas, you can use this in divorce court. Dissipation of marital assets. Judge will make him pay you back, with interest. How do you know that? My sister went through a divorce 2 years ago. Ugly one. I learned more about family law than I ever wanted to know. He looked at me. You're going to destroy him, Alma. Legally, financially, professionally. Professionally? Seth smiled. Dangerous. Dean's been violating company policy. Fraternization with subordinate employee. Using corporate resources for personal affairs. Falsifying expense reports. I have documentation. Emails. Witnesses. I've been building a case. You've been planning this. Not a question. I've been protecting you. There's a difference. My phone buzzed. Dean again. Alma, I'm outside the house. Your car's not here. Where are you? We need to talk. I love you. This is fixable. I showed Seth. He shook his head. Narcissist's prayer. That didn't happen. And if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, that's not a big deal. And if it is, that's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, you deserved it. Poetic. Accurate. I typed back to Dean. Talk to my attorney. Catherine Griffith. You'll be hearing from her Monday. Sent. Blocked his number. Savage, Seth said, impressed. I'm just getting started. Friday morning. Attorney's office. Catherine Griffith was everything advertised. 60-something, silver hair, eyes like a predator. She listened to my story, reviewed my documentation, smiled. This is the easiest case I've had all year. Your husband's an idiot. He left a paper trail visible from space. What can we get? Everything. She leaned forward. Texas is a community property state, but judges have discretion when one spouse wastes marital assets. He paid her thousands of dollars using your joint funds. He committed fraud with expense reports. That's criminal, by the way. We can request full asset disclosure, freeze accounts, and file for fault-based divorce citing adultery. You'll get more than half. Possibly alimony depending on his income. How long? Fast-tracked? 4 months. Maybe less if he doesn't contest. He'll contest. Let him. We have photos. Financial records. Witnesses. He'll lose. Badly. I signed papers. Retainer paid. Seth offered to cover it. I refused. Used my personal savings Dean didn't know about. Always kept a secret account. Paranoia? Maybe. Lifesaver? Absolutely. Catherine smiled as I left. One more thing. You might want to consider exposing the affair to his employer. Violating company policy has consequences. Already planned. Seth was waiting in the lobby. How'd it go? I'm about to become single and significantly wealthier. Good. You deserve both. We walked to a coffee shop, sat outside. October in Austin, perfect weather, horrible timing. I need to ask you something, I said. Why are you really doing this? The flowers, the evidence, the support. You could have just told me and walked away. Why stay? Seth looked at his coffee. Long pause. Because 10 years ago I asked you to marry me. You said no. You said you needed to focus on your career, that you weren't ready, that timing was wrong. I respected that. I left. I moved on, or tried to. Seth, but I never stopped loving you, Alma. I dated other women, even got engaged once. Called it off because she wasn't you. Nobody was ever you. He met my eyes. When I saw Dean with Vanessa, I was angry. But when I realized he was treating you like you were disposable, I couldn't stay silent. You deserved to know. You deserved better. You always deserved better. My heart did that thing again. Complicated. Painful. Hopeful? I'm not asking you to jump into anything. He continued. You're going through hell. You need time. Space. Healing. I get that. I'm just saying, I'm here. However you need me. Friend. Support system. Or eventually, more. If you want. When you're ready. If you're ever ready. I reached across the table. Took his hand. Thank you. For seeing me. For caring enough to blow up my life in the best way possible. That's what love does. He squeezed my hand. It sees you. Even when you can't see yourself. Monday morning, Seth went to HR. Filed formal complaint against Dean. Provided evidence, emails, photos, expense reports, everything. HR launched investigation. Fast. Dean was suspended pending review. Vanessa too. Dean called me. Forgot I'd blocked him. Used office phone. Receptionist transferred him before I could stop it. Alma. What did you do? Hi, Dean. Enjoying your suspension? You went to my company? You're trying to destroy my career? No, sweetheart. You destroyed your career when you decided to break company policy, commit expense fraud, and treat your marriage like a part-time hobby. I just documented it. You're insane. You're vindictive. I'm done. I hung up. Felt good. Really good. Tuesday. Dean showed up at my office. Security stopped him. I'd preemptively warned them. He stood in the lobby, yelling, making a scene. Coworkers watched, filmed. Alma, come down here. Face me. I went to the window, looked down, waved, smiled. He lost his mind. Started screaming about crazy wives and ruining his life. Security escorted him out. Video went viral internally. Someone posted it to Reddit. Man has meltdown at ex-wife's office after getting caught cheating. Front page. Thousands of comments. All supporting me. Dean became a meme. Perfect. Wednesday. Catherine called. Dean's attorney wants to negotiate. He's panicking. Knows he'll lose in court. They're offering settlement. What are the terms? Insulting. He keeps the house, which you both own, pays you $20,000 and you waive alimony. Counteroffer. I get the house, my car, 70% of liquid assets, repayment of all funds he gave Vanessa with interest, and he covers my legal fees. He also signs a non-disparagement agreement. If he talks badly about me publicly, he pays additional penalties. You're learning. Catherine sounded proud. I'll send it over. Thursday evening. Seth and I had dinner. Real dinner. Not crisis management. Not strategy sessions. Just us. When this is over, he said carefully. What do you want? Big picture. Life goals. Dreams. Honestly, I want to stop feeling like I wasted 8 years. I want to trust someone again. I want to believe that love isn't just elaborate theater designed to hurt me. It's not. He reached across the table again, held my hand. Real love is quiet. Steady. It doesn't lie. It doesn't hide. It shows up. Every day. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Is that what you're offering? If you'll have me, not now, not rushed, but eventually. When you're ready. I'll wait. I've been waiting 10 years. I can wait longer. I smiled. Real smile. First one in days. What if I'm damaged goods? What if I can't trust anymore? Then we'll build trust. Slowly, carefully, together. He kissed my knuckles. Gentle. You're not damaged, Alma. You're just healing. And healing takes time. Friday morning. Catherine called. Victory in her voice. He accepted your counteroffer. All of it. House, assets, repayment, legal fees, non-disparagement clause. He signed an hour ago. I sat down. Hard. Didn't realize I'd been standing. He just gave up? His attorney showed him the evidence. Told him a judge would crucify him. Smart lawyer. Saved his client from complete annihilation. You won, Alma. Decisively. When's it final? Paperwork process is Monday. You'll be officially divorced by end of next week. Fastest I've ever seen. I hung up. Stared at my phone. 8 years. Over, finished, done. Seth texted. Dinner tonight? Celebration? Me. You're assuming I want to celebrate. Seth. You should. You just destroyed a cheater and got everything you deserved. That's worth champagne. He was right. That evening, Seth picked me up. Not from the hotel. I'd moved back into my house Wednesday after Dean collected his things. He'd looked pathetic, defeated, loading boxes into a U-Haul while I watched from the doorway, sipping wine. "This is still my house, too," he'd tried. "Not according to the settlement you signed. You have 2 hours. Then I'm changing the locks." He'd left in 90 minutes. Seth took me to Uchi, expensive sushi place downtown. The kind Dean always said was too pricey for a Tuesday. "It's Friday," Seth said, reading my mind, "and nothing's too expensive for you." We ordered everything. Toro, uni, wagyu, fancy sake. I felt reckless. Free. Alive. "I heard something interesting today," Seth said, popping edamame. "Dean and Vanessa both got fired. Official termination. Company released a statement about maintaining professional standards and ethical conduct. They're both unemployed?" I tried not to smile. Failed spectacularly. Completely. And in this industry? Firing for ethical violations? That follows you. Good luck getting hired anywhere reputable. He raised his sake cup. To karma working overtime. We clinked glasses. "There's more," Seth continued. "Vanessa's landlord evicted her. Apparently, Dean was paying half her rent. Now he can't. She can't afford it alone. She's moving back with her parents. In Lubbock. Lubbock, Texas? Middle of nowhere Lubbock? The very same. Her mom posted about it on Facebook. So happy to have my baby girl home, with 17 crying emojis. Seth showed me his phone. I don't have Facebook. My assistant does. She's been monitoring the situation. For research purposes. I laughed. Actually laughed. Deep, genuine, cleansing laughter. They lost everything. Jobs, apartment, dignity, each other, I'm assuming. Oh, they broke up. Wednesday, according to office gossip, Dean blamed her for seducing him and ruining his marriage. She blamed him for being a lying coward who couldn't commit. They had a screaming match in the parking garage. Security footage exists. It's glorious. I need to see that footage. Already requested. Should have it by Monday. We ate, talked, real conversation. He told me about Dallas, his job, his lonely apartment with minimalist furniture because nothing felt like home. I told him about Austin, my promotion last year, how Dean hadn't even congratulated me properly, just said, "More work for you, I guess." He diminished you, Seth said quietly, made you smaller so he could feel bigger. That's what weak men do. And what do strong men do? They celebrate you, support you, build you up. He met my eyes. They see your success as their success, because real love isn't competition, it's partnership. Something shifted. Inside me. Around us. The air felt different. Charged. "I'm not ready," I said. Honest. Raw. "For anything serious, for us. Not yet." "I know." He smiled. Gentle. Patient. "Take your time. I'm not going anywhere." The following week, everything fell into place with terrifying efficiency. Monday. Divorce finalized. I was officially Alma Dawson no more. Back to Alma Rutherford. Felt like reclaiming myself. Tuesday. Dean's company paid me $17,000. Settlement for his fraudulent expense reports. They'd audited everything. Found more violations. Covered their liability by compensating me directly. Wednesday. I received a check from Dean. $53,000. Repayment for all money he'd given Vanessa, plus interest Catherine negotiated. He'd had to liquidate his retirement account. Early withdrawal penalties destroyed him. Thursday. I redecorated the house, new paint, new furniture, erased every trace of Dean, burned our wedding photos in the backyard fire pit. Seth came over, brought marshmallows. We made s'mores over the ashes of my failed marriage. "This is therapeutic and delicious," I said. Chocolate on my lip. Multitasking at its finest. Seth wiped the chocolate away with his thumb. Lingered. Pulled back. Respectful. Friday. 1 month after the flowers arrived. I went back to work. Everyone knew. Office gossip travels faster than light. But instead of pity, I got respect, admiration, even a few high fives. "You're a legend," Sarah from accounting said. "Took down a cheater and got the house?" Icon behavior. My boss called me into his office. I tensed, prepared for awkwardness. "I'm promoting you," he said instead. "Senior Marketing Director. 20% raise. You've earned it. Your work's been exceptional, even during personal hell." "That's remarkable." I walked out of his office in shock. Everything was falling into place, almost suspiciously well. That evening, Seth called. "I have news. Big news. Good or bad? Depends on perspective. I got promoted. VP of Finance." "Seth, that's incredible. Congratulations." "There's a catch. Positions in Austin. Corporate's relocating me. I'll be working at the headquarters here, starting next month." Silence. "You're moving here." Not a question. "If that's okay with you." "I'm not doing this to pressure you or—" "It's okay." I meant it. "It's more than okay." "Yeah?" "Yeah." We met for coffee the next morning. Cafe Medici. Full circle. Same table where he'd told me the truth. "I found an apartment," Seth said. "Downtown, modern, 1 bedroom, very bachelor pad." "Sounds lonely." "It won't be. I have friends, work. If you'll let me be part of your life, in whatever capacity you're comfortable with." I looked at him. Really looked. This man who'd loved me silently for 10 years, who'd protected me when I didn't know I needed protecting, who'd handed me the truth wrapped in roses and set me free. "I want to try," I said. "Us. Not now, not immediately, but soon. I want to see if we can build something real, something honest." Seth's face transformed. Hope, joy, relief. "Slow. We'll go slow as you need. Coffee dates, dinners, normal getting to know you again stuff. I can do that. I'm excellent at patience." 10 years, remember? 2 months later, December, holiday party at my company. I brought Seth as my date. First public appearance together. Office gossip exploded. I didn't care. Dean showed up, uninvited. Crashed through the door like a tornado of desperation and cheap cologne. "Alma." Everyone stopped. Music cut. Awkward silence. Security moved toward him. I held up my hand. "It's fine. Let him speak." Dean stumbled forward. Drunk. Pathetic. "You ruined my life. Everything's gone. Job, house. Her. All because you couldn't forgive one mistake." "One mistake?" I stayed calm. Ice cold. "You had a 6-month affair. Spent thousands of our dollars on another woman. Lied every single day. That's not one mistake, Dean. That's a lifestyle choice. I loved you." His voice cracked. Manipulative tears. Classic. "No, you didn't. You loved the idea of having 2 women. You loved the ego boost. You loved getting away with it. You never loved me." Seth stepped forward. Protective. "Time to go, Dean." Dean looked at Seth. Recognition. Rage. You did this. You stole my wife." "I didn't steal anyone. You threw her away. I just reminded her what she's worth." Seth's voice was steel. "Which is infinitely more than you ever deserved." Security escorted Dean out. He went quietly this time. Broken, defeated, empty. The party resumed. People congratulated me, praised my composure, called Dean pathetic. I accepted it all with grace. Seth pulled me aside. Outside. Balcony overlooking downtown Austin. Christmas lights everywhere. Beautiful. Magical. "You okay?" he asked. "I'm perfect." I meant it. He's nothing to me now. Just a cautionary tale about trusting the wrong person. And me? Vulnerable. Hopeful. What am I to you? I took his hand. Laced our fingers together. "You're the person who saw me when I was invisible. Who told me the truth when everyone else let me live a lie. Who waited 10 years because you believed I was worth waiting for. You are worth it. You're worth everything." "I'm ready," I said. "For us. For real. No more waiting." Seth smiled. Brilliant. Genuine. "You sure?" "Completely." He kissed me. Soft. Sweet. Perfect. First kiss in 10 years. First kiss as free woman. First kiss of something real. Fireworks didn't explode. Orchestra didn't swell. But something better happened. I felt safe. Seen. Loved. Actually loved. We pulled apart. Foreheads touching. Breathing same air. "I have a confession," Seth whispered. I never stopped planning our future. Even when you married him, even when it seemed impossible, I kept hoping. What did you plan? This. You, us, together. Finally. Ambitious. Patient, he corrected. There's a difference. We went back inside, danced, laughed, celebrated. My co-workers cheered. Someone started chanting, "Kiss, kiss, kiss." We obliged. Crowd went wild. Best office party ever. January, new year, new life. Seth moved into his Austin apartment. We spent weekends together. Cooking, watching movies, talking. Really talking, learning each other again. Or maybe for the first time. Properly. Dean got a job, finally, small firm, entry level, massive pay cut. He'd been blacklisted from major companies. His own fault. Consequences. Glorious consequences. Vanessa stayed in Lubbock. Last I heard, she was working retail. Karma's hilarious sometimes. February. Valentine's Day. Seth cooked dinner at my place. Steak, asparagus, chocolate lava cake. Romantic. Thoughtful. Perfectly him. After dessert, he pulled out a small box. My heart stopped. "Relax," he laughed. "Not a ring. Not yet. Just a promise." Inside, a key to his apartment. "Move in with me," he said, "or I'll move in here. I don't care where. I just want to wake up next to you. Build a life together. Properly. No secrets, no lies. Just us. That's a big step. I've been waiting 10 years for this step. I'm ready. Question is, are you?" I looked at the key. Symbol of trust, commitment, future. Yes. Simple, clear, certain. Yes, I'm ready. March. I moved into Seth's apartment. We combined lives, books, furniture, quirks, arguments about thermostat temperature and proper way to load dishwasher. Normal couple things, beautiful, mundane, perfect things. Dean texted once. Blocked number but got through somehow. "I hope you're happy." I didn't respond. But I thought, I am. Finally. Completely. Utterly happy. Deleted his number. Blocked every possible contact method. Closed that chapter, sealed it, buried it. 1 year after the flowers arrived. I'm sitting in our apartment, Seth's and mine, drinking coffee on the balcony. Morning sun, Austin skyline, traffic sounds below. Normal, beautiful, mine. Seth's inside making breakfast. French toast. He burns it every single time. I pretend not to notice. He pretends he's a chef. We have our routines now, our rhythms, our inside jokes that nobody else would understand. Last week we ran into Dean. Whole Foods parking lot. Unavoidable Austin moment. He looked smaller somehow, older, worn down by consequences he created. "Alma." He nodded. Uncomfortable. "Seth." "Dean." I kept my voice neutral. Not warm, not cold. Just done. Awkward silence. He shifted his grocery bag. Generic brands. Budget shopping. How the mighty fall. "You look happy," he said finally. Bitter edge. I am happy. Truth. Simple. Devastating. That should have been us. Pathetic. Playing victim. No, Dean. It couldn't have been us. Because us required honesty. And you're allergic to that. I took Seth's hand. "We're late for brunch. Take care of yourself." Walked away. Didn't look back. Seth squeezed my hand. "You okay?" he asked in the car. "Completely. He's just a stranger who hurt me once. He doesn't get to hurt me twice. That's the thing about healing. It's not linear, not pretty, not Instagram-worthy. It's messy and complicated, and sometimes you cry in grocery store parking lots for no reason. But eventually, gradually, without realizing exactly when, the person who destroyed you becomes irrelevant. Background noise. Footnote in your story. I learned things this year. Uncomfortable truths about myself. 1. I ignored red flags because I wanted the fairy tale. Dean was distant, secretive, emotionally unavailable. I convinced myself it was work stress or normal marriage stuff. It wasn't. It was him showing me exactly who he was while I insisted on believing who I wanted him to be. 2. I made myself smaller to accommodate his ego, downplayed my promotions, apologized for success, dimmed my light so he wouldn't feel threatened. That's not love. That's self-erasure. 3. I stayed too long. Ignored intuition. Dismissed gut feelings. Convinced myself I was paranoid when I was actually perceptive. Note to self. Trust your instincts. They're usually right. But here's what else I learned. Love isn't supposed to hurt. Real love, the kind Seth gives me, is easy. Not effortless, but natural. It doesn't require constant negotiation or emotional gymnastics. It just is. Real love sees you, acknowledges you, celebrates you. It doesn't compete, doesn't diminish, doesn't hide. Real love shows up every day, especially boring days, especially hard days. Seth proposed 3 months ago, spring evening. Nothing elaborate. We were walking our dog. Yes, we got a dog, golden retriever named Biscuit, because we're predictable like that. And he just stopped. Middle of the trail. Marry me. Not a question. Statement. Confident. We've only been officially together for a year, I said. I've loved you for 11 years. I think I've waited long enough. He pulled out a ring. Platinum band. Single diamond. Simple. Elegant. Perfect. I'm not asking because I'm afraid of losing you. I'm asking because I want to choose you every day for the rest of my life. Publicly, officially, permanently. I ugly cried. Full sobbing, snotty mess. Biscuit got excited and jumped on us. Total disaster. Yes, obviously yes. We're getting married next month. Small ceremony. Close friends. Family. Nothing extravagant, just meaningful. That's all we need. My mom asked if I was nervous about trying again. Fair question. Loaded question. I'm not trying again, I told her. I'm trying something completely different. Dean was practice for recognizing what I don't want. Seth is proof I know what I deserve. She cried. Happy tears. I never liked Dean anyway. Why didn't you say something? Would you have listened? No. Exactly. Moms. Always right. Annoyingly so. Work's going well. Senior marketing director turned into VP of marketing last month. Corner office, actual window, company car. The success Dean always said would intimidate men is exactly what Seth celebrates. He sends flowers to my office every Friday. Different varieties, never roses. Too much history there. Last Friday, sunflowers. Card said, proud of you, always. My assistant swooned. Your fiancé's the best. She's right. He is. Vanessa? Heard through mutual connections she's engaged. Apparently found some guy in Lubbock. Good for her, I guess. Hope she learned something. Doubt it, but hope is free. Dean's still single. Working his entry-level job. Living in a studio apartment. Dating sporadically. One mutual friend said he's still talking about the wife who ruined him. I didn't ruin him. He ruined himself. I just stopped participating in his delusions. There's a difference. Sometimes people ask how I forgave him. Plot twist. I didn't. Forgiveness implies reconciliation. Implies healing the relationship. I have zero interest in either. What I did was release him. Stopped letting his betrayal define my worth. Stopped replaying his lies. Stopped giving him mental real estate. He doesn't deserve my anger. Anger means he still matters. He doesn't. He's just the guy who taught me what I won't tolerate. Expensive lesson. Worth it. Seth and I talk about the future now. Real plans. Not vague, someday fantasies. Concrete timelines. Kids? Maybe. 2 years. We're thinking about it. No rush. We want time to just be us first. House? Searching. Looking at suburbs. Good schools. Backyard for Biscuit. White picket fence feels cliché, but honestly, I want the cliché. I earned boring suburban happiness. Careers? We're both thriving, supportive, competitive in healthy ways. Who can close bigger deal becomes foreplay. We're weird. It works. Last night, Seth asked, "Do you ever regret saying no the first time I proposed?" I thought about it. Really thought. No. Because we weren't ready then. I wasn't ready. I needed to become who I am now. Experience what I experienced. Learn what I learned. If we'd gotten married at 24, We'd have been different people building a different life. Think we'd have made it? Honestly? Probably not. We were kids. I was ambitious and ruthless about my career. You were building your foundation. We'd have resented each other eventually. And now? Now we're adults who chose each other after seeing the worst life offers. That's stronger than young love. That's informed love. He kissed my forehead. You're annoyingly wise. I had a great teacher. His name was Consequences. Real strict. Taught me everything. We laughed. That's the other thing about real love. It's fun, easy, light. Even heavy conversations feel manageable because you're not carrying them alone. I think about the flowers sometimes. That Tuesday afternoon. Anonymous roses. Cryptic card. The moment everything changed. Best worst day of my life. Because it broke everything. Shattered my comfortable denial. Forced me to see truth I'd been avoiding. But it also freed me. Freed me from a man who saw me as placeholder. Freed me from a marriage built on lies. Freed me from settling for crumbs when I deserved the whole bakery. Those flowers weren't romantic. They were a demolition notice. And sometimes demolition is necessary. You can't build something strong on a cracked foundation. You have to tear it down. Start over. Build correctly. That's what I did. What we did. Seth and I. We demolished the lies. Cleared the rubble. Built something real. Something lasting. Something neither of us has to hide or apologize for. Next month, I'll walk down an aisle. Real one this time. Toward a man who sees me. Always has. Always will. Dean will not be invited. Obviously. He'll probably hear about it somehow. Small world. Smaller city. I hope he does hear. Hope he realizes what he lost. What he threw away. What he'll never have again. Not because I want him to hurt. I'm past that. But because some people only learn through loss. And Dean? He lost everything. Job, wife, dignity, future. I gained everything. Career, love, peace, self-respect. Math checks out. People say I'm bitter, cold, unforgiving. Maybe. But I'm also happy. Thriving. Loved. Free. I'll take cold and happy over warm and miserable any day. Final thoughts? Lessons learned? Wisdom acquired through emotional warfare? Here's what I know now. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. First time. Don't wait for the 16th photo. Don't wait for anonymous flowers. Don't wait until you're sitting in a bathroom stall crying over evidence of betrayal. Your intuition is smarter than your hope. Listen to it. Love shouldn't require detective work. If you're checking phones, tracking locations, verifying stories, you're not in a relationship. You're in an investigation. End it. You teach people how to treat you. I taught Dean he could lie. I taught him I'd accept excuses. I taught him my time and loyalty were negotiable. Never again. And finally, the right person won't make you feel crazy for expecting honesty. Won't make you feel needy for wanting attention. Won't make you feel demanding for requiring respect. The right person makes you feel seen, valued, chosen, every single day. Seth does that. Has done that. Will continue doing that. So here I am, 1 year later, engaged, thriving, happy, living my best life with a man who sent me flowers not to romance me, but to save me. Best delivery I ever received. Turns out, when someone says he doesn't deserve you, but I see you, they're not just critiquing your spouse. They're offering you a mirror, showing you your worth, reminding you that you deserve better. I looked in that mirror, didn't love what I saw, woman accepting less than she deserved. But I changed it, became the person I needed to be, found the love I'd always wanted. The flowers are long dead, dried, thrown away weeks ago, but the truth they delivered, that's permanent. And I'm grateful for the flowers, the truth, the pain, the growth, all of it. Because sometimes love arrives disguised as destruction, and sometimes the best thing that can happen is having your world fall apart so you can rebuild it correctly. Mine fell apart spectacularly, and I rebuilt it beautifully. That's my story. Drama, betrayal, heartbreak, revenge, justice. And eventually, finally, actual love. If you're reading this from a bathroom stall, staring at evidence of betrayal, crying over lies, I see you. You deserve better, and better is coming. Trust me. I'm living proof.